Okay, I'm going to use SketchUp to draw the pinball table that we're making in class. It's a little complex, and occasionally I might change my mind on how I do a part, but I want you to look at the thinking process. Okay, we're using SketchUp Online, and we're in millimeters. Make sure you are. I'm not going to go over the basics like how to move around. If you think you need to work on that, work on using the software, please go back and watch some of the other videos that you may need to watch. In the early videos I make, I talk about orbiting and panning and moving about and interacting with it. Okay, let's start. I'm going to draw the side first. I'm going to go along 12 to 75. I want to draw it up on this y-axis there. And I'm going to make it 70 mil. Okay, so the first bit of timber we cut is 275 by 70 out of 12 millimeters. And take that and let's start by marking it out. From this very end point to the midpoint, I use a rule and I mark down there. So midpoint halfway, 35. We come across there, and then from that intersection to that end point, I'm going to mark it out. Now, there's a reason I did it on both sides. Normally, I would take it and cut this off. But if I think about it like I'm making it, this could be very useful to use as my cleat. So the way I'm going to get that part, so imagine you mark it out, you bring it to me in the workshop, and I do a fairly rough cut here with the bandsaw. So we will lose a couple of millimeters. You will end up with two pieces, the piece you want and an offcut. The offcut I think can be used. So I'm going to just position this a little bit and drag a box around it on the left. Oh, I hate it when it gets that face there. Let's go. See if I can get rid of it. Oh, gone. Okay. Now, ordinarily, you would throw that in the offcut bin or never think of it again, but we're going to be very wise with how we use our material. So I'm going to drag my box from the left. It's selected all these. That's why I drew it on both sides. And then I'm going to go move. I'm going to move it, but I'm going to press Control to duplicate it. I've duplicated the pieces there, but there was no face on that. So I'm going to get my pencil tool. You can see where there's, oh, actually, no, there is a face. I'm going to select it and go reverse because it was blue. We don't want blue. Blue means it's an internal face. I'm going to click on that, push it through. So I've got these two pieces, okay? Now, you will lose a couple of mil here. So I'll just make up for that with 275. So let's make that in. I'm going to use my tape measure. Um, Tape measure. I'm going to come in on this face. Now, first of all, 12 and 12, 24. We're going to lose that amount of material. Imagine I'm sanding this off, and I'll come in another 4 mil, 24. So actually, I'll make it nice and even. I'll come in 30 mil on this edge. You will see what I'm doing. And then from here, I'm going to mark with the tri-square. And once it's all cleaned up, I think I should be able to, or you should be able to come up with a piece like that. I don't like coming to a dead end like this, so I think I'll get the tape measure again and come up here and go, what's the end, 245. I'll go 240 and I'll cut the very sharp end off. I've got a piece at 240. Delete that. Okay. So that is 240 millimeters, okay? I'm going to turn these both into components. I'm going to go make component, call this a side. I'm going to right click on this, make component, call it a fleet. Now I'm going to flip it around. So I'm going to go right click on it, flip along the blue. And then I'm going to flip along, for me, the green. I'm going to take it midpoint, move it down here, midpoint. Okay, so you can end up with something like that. I think. So that should be the angle. Let's move it up and have a look. I'm just curious about this. Okay, that's the angle we want. Think it would be useful if that came up just a couple of mil, so 5 mil. Okay, we can shift things around in a little bit. Those two pieces, I might group them together. So they're both selected, right click, group. I don't want them to move, shift. I'm going to take this one, I'm going to duplicate it over here. And then I'm going to right click and flip it along the red. And I'm going to move them in. They're right next to each other, like that. Now I know I want it to be 150 mil wide. So I'm going to take this and type in 150. Okay, it's looking good. It'll be important in the workshop that these both line up. So perhaps some sort of jig or at least very good marking out. If this is slightly different than this piece, your table will be wobbly. Okay, let's put in the front frame. They're going to cut another bit of 12 mil, which is going to be 150 mil wide. Or long, I should say. And probably a little bit over 35 wide. You'll see in a little bit. If you're pretty accurate, I'd leave the front like that. I'm going to double, triple click on it and make it a component and call it end. But end one for this one. I'm going to come over the front here. I'm going to do the back. 12 mil again. Triple click and make component, call it N2. I'm going to leave it like that for a little bit. Now you can see, if you look from the top, that there's a little bit of space between this cleat end and back. For me, I know that's going to cut down on any problems, but if you wanted to be a little, that's why I cut the 30 or so mil off and cleaned up the front. I don't think it's necessary to make that too tight. Now I'm going to do something here, which, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a big board over here. I'm not worried about any sizes to start with, but as long as it's bigger than here, okay? And it's going to be made out of about 7 or 8 mil. I'll do it 8 plywood. I'm going to take that and make it a component. Then I'm going to take a copy of it, a duplicate. I'm going to move it, duplicate, over here. And I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to double click on it, go into edit mode, push pull, and bring it down here. So I know I've got the width, the perfect width. Bring that in. This edge. And I know that edge is where I lined it up. Okay, and as you can see, as I do the editing, this edits. And I want to leave that because I know this piece is going to go on an angle. Okay. I might take this one, line it up with that edge there. Okay, so I can look at it. And because I'm a little like that, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make it exactly 100 mil away. Look at that. Now, I'm going to move this down and then I'm going to start shifting things. That's going to come down to that very top. Okay. And then with this selected, I'm going to go to rotate. I'm going to rotate it along that green edge. I'm going to put it on that edge there. That's what your job's going to look like. And let's have a look at a few things. Let's see. We've got a little bit of a gap there. A little bit of a gap there. We can, let's add, edit. Let's bring that out 1 millimeter. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it like that. And then I'm going to take it. I'm going to go to move it by the midpoint. Pink. So it's going to be parallel to this one. Find the midpoint. Midpoint. I think that should be it. Get it right. Where's the midpoint here? That doesn't work. So I think I'll leave it like that. Okay. Okay. So while I'm working on this piece, I've got one that's perfectly flat. That'll let me line things up a little better. I'll put some dimensions on it. Oops. Dimensions. So this one here is 251. Obviously by 150. Okay. So if I cut a piece at 251 and 150, it should fit in nicely. I'm not too worried about the back because it'll have a ball bearing that won't go in that gap. Might do bring that out. And let's think when we do this, maybe we want to bring this piece in. So it's tight there. Okay. In the workshop, we won't put our frame together before we've cut this. Then we'll bring it in and we'll clean up that edge. Because I'm a bit like that, I'm going to bring that out to that flush edge and clean this off in a minute. We take this one back. right back there. So the two front pieces should be a bit like that. Double click. Go in it because there's a group. I've got to go in it again, and I'm going to sand them down. So they'll be a bit less than 275. Okay, let's start working on the flippers and a few things like that. Okay, there's our basic frame. Over here, I've got the table, the pinball tabletop. Sometimes these little things stick. Gone. Okay. Now this is where it gets a little bit sort of an unknown one. This is the first time I've made this, okay, but I'm planning it out. So the holes on here are in 26 mil and then 53. But I don't like odd numbers usually, unless there are 5, but 53 is not really um, a good number to work from. So I would tend to go maybe 50 or 55. Let's do 55 and then we can shift it around. On this board here, double click, go into edit. Use my tape measure, and along this edge, I'm going to measure along there and go 55. You can see 2 lines have appeared because I'm adding that construction line and it's coming in on the component, the duplicate of it. From here, I'm going to come in 26. From here, I'm going to come in 26. And right on that intersection, I'm going to do a hole. I'm going to do the hole on the drill press, nice and straight. 6 mil, so 3 mil diameter. And I'm just going to make that 48 sides, okay? It's a bit smoother. You don't have to do that 48S, but I like to. 3, 48S. Okay, I'm going to drill through there. All the way through. That's where my dowel is going to go. And you can see it's appearing over here. But I don't have to worry too much about the angle or anything like that because I'm drawing it on this face here. Now, let's put in the dowel. Okay, so while I've got these construction lines, now I'm going to go to the intersection. I'm going to press, let's see, the up arrow to make it draw on the Z. Let's just come up for a start, 30 minutes. I'll reduce it later. Then underneath, I want to go maybe, let's just come down another 20 mil. So I've cut some down like that. That's where my flippers are going to be. Select it all, right click, make component, so just call it dowel. And then I'm going to move it, and I'm going to move it from this line here. Okay, I'm going to press Control, move it on the red to the same line over here. I got it there twice. Now I'm going to look at some sketches I made on paper and have a look at how it goes. Okay. I've got a couple of little sketches that show what Mr. Fisher was thinking. First of all, he has 2 pieces that are, let's see, 35 by 20. I'm going to draw them over here. So there. Twenty, comma 35. They go a little bit longer, so I'm just going to measure something. Oh, I can see what that angle is there. Do that to start with. Okay. So he has 17 by 25. Now, let's make that at a 19 mil. Let's do cut out here, which is 17. Sure his measurements there. I'm just going to measure something. Mr. Fisher, 11.5. Okay, let's make that a 12. Okay, so I'm going to come in 17, 12. Screen. Just going to Control Z. Put the center one there, press Control to get out of that. 17, 12. Oh, I should have gone the other way. Oh. 17, 12. Okay, like that. And then we cut that piece off. I'm going to make that a component. Component. And I'm going to move it roughly in position. I'm going to base a lot of my project off here. Okay, so it's going to be flush along this face. And from here, it's going to be in 20. Should look something like that. This will come up in a little bit, okay? So there will be a piece of material along here, which will be, I'm going to make that 50, 20 to start with. Flush with that. A component. Now edit some of these in a little. Some of my sizes aren't looking that great. I'm going to test something out. And I could be working off an old plan of Mr. Fisher's, but let's have a look. Where's he got that? My line here, which was 55, appears to be 42 on Mr. Fisher's. So I'm going to move it. I'll take edit here. So instead of 55, I'll put another line in at 42. Okay, that's the difference. Not sure why that is, but anyway, let's work it out. I'm going to take a box. I'm going to select that whole circle, hold down shift, that whole circle there, and I'm going to move that hole from that line down to that line. That means I'll take the dowel and I'll move it from that line also down to that line. And that's looking more like the sketches I have. Now, the let's have a look at how he's drawn his flipper. I'm going to do some measuring. I'm on the other screen measuring a few things. So from here to there, flippers are 42 by 28. Okay. Let's take rectangle and draw it there. I'm going to go 42 by 28. Okay. Going to check on a couple of little arcs. Uh, 5 mil, I think. Radius 5. And you can hear me clicking on the other screen. We've got radius 4, I think. So let's work out how we get this done. Top corner, I'm going to draw a little box there, 5 by 5. Here, I'm going to draw a box 5 by 5. Down here, I would have thought I would do it 5 by 5 again. But it's 4 by 4. So I'm putting little squares in here, and I'll show you why. Circle. I'll change that to 48. Yes. I don't know if it sticks at 48 sides, but now this one here is going to be a tangent. The tangent should be, would think, parallel to that line. And let's delete a few. Now, SketchUp isn't the greatest when you do tangents. Okay, where a line meets a circle. But we want one to come from here to here. Now let's try to think of how we would do that. If I draw a line, okay, let's try this. Should be able to get it to, aha, there we go. So now it's purple. That's what I want. Okay, if I take that line and move it, if that had been 5, that would have worked out. I wonder. Wonder if I make it 5, if that's going to be better for us. Go back a little bit. I'm going to change this. So I did Control Z there. I'm going to make that 5, 5. And now let's have a look here. So now delete that. Draw another line. Come down here and sort of. Clever the way it does that. You just sort of move around and eventually it kind of figures out what you're trying to do. Now if I bring that down there, I should have a tangent, a tangent. Okay, I'm going to get the eraser. bits that I don't want. Now, I've got no face there. So I'm going to get my pencil tool, draw that in. I would assume the dowel will go in the center of here. So let's leave that and draw in. Draw that in 3. That's going to be very thin material. This may be a useful part to 3D print. I don't think I need those lines for now. And I'll get rid of that face. Make that out of 19 mil. Triple click on it and make it a component and call it a flipper. Now I'm going to take that, if I can find the midpoint, center of flipper. Move that and see if I can find. Be hard working from the center of circles on SketchUp. I think I've got it there because I saw a green line appear. Now I'm going to come over here, zoom in. There we go. Let's have a look. Move it down on the blue. Snap it in there. So I feel like it needs to come up a bit. And Mr. Fish has got it resting on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm wondering whether I reduce this piece or shift these up. Let's see what happens if we shift things up a couple of mil. I'll go here, I'll take those and I'll shift them up from a nice part like that endpoint there. Let's have a look. If I come up 2 mil, did I think I shifted a bit? I'm going to go here, go up the green, 2 mil. Have a look. I really want that to rest on top of there, so let's come back. 1 mil. Okay. So all up, I really just shifted at 1 mil, didn't I? 1 millimeter. Okay. So that means I want to double click on here, take that hole. I know the hole is under here, about there. Hold down shift and select it. I'll take it from the bottom. There, I should have that hole. Should have that hole. I'm going to take it from maybe here. 1 mil. So the flipper rests on there and it's got some clearance here. Let's have a look at something. If I take that flipper and do a rotate, see if I can possibly center in dowel. Have a look at something. Okay. That's got a fair bit of clearance around here. I like it. Once I've got it laid out how I want it, I can then sort of pull it apart and have a look at where things are going. I could even make another copy of this, actually. I might do that over here. And on here, I can sort of get some measurements from there to there, 26. Possibly could come in 25, but I don't want to make it too tight here. I can see that being a problem. Now, this piece here, we said that was going to be different. I'm going to take a line like that. Hold down Shift, make it purple, and just bring it out like that. Okay, so this should, if I double click on here, I should be able to take that edge and move it along the green and then lock it in, constrain it to right, go. Let's have a look. I'm going to go over here to the glasses. I'm going to actually come to this clapper board, turn on my isometric and look straight down from the top. Okay. Be on the green. I want to lock it in to that line. Should have just that edge picked. In fact, you know what I'm going to do to be safe? I'm going to draw a line down here, and then I'm going to bring that down to that face there. Okay, so you can see here, we've got a line coming straight down there. I'm going to delete that line. Get out of that component mode. Edit mode, I mean. Delete that line. Okay. So that's exactly what I want. And the same on the other side, as far as I can see. I'm going to take that and that. I'm going to move them from somewhere I can, maybe over here to there. I'm going to right click and go flip along red. See if I can get the center of this again. Oh, you know where I could grab it from? Take it from this edge, bring it in here, and it should line up. Yep, it does. Okay, so I got my two flippers. Now this one here comes a bit further. I'm going to take this one and bring it out another. I'll bring it out to here. Okay. I shouldn't have deleted that purple line earlier. And let's put another one of those purple lines in. Actually got to come further. Okay. And when the ball comes down here, it loops around. So it kind of, not sure what Mr. Fisher's thinking was on here. Have a look. So we should have a loop here. So perhaps I'll go right down. I think that's not enough, this little piece here. So I think I should come down. Let's have a look what it looks like. Let's have a look. If I take this, go in edit mode, drag the box around there. Bring it straight up to here. Now I'm going to do something here. I'm going to move that with push-pull. I'm going to press Control doesn't work like it used to. Get a move. I'm going to use push pull. Press control and then move that out. Maybe I'll add 30 mil. 30 mil. Straight down on it again. Got my views up here, by the way, and I've changed it to parallel projection. Okay, so I've got rid of the perspective. And I want to loop like that. So I'll put an arc in. Let's have a look what an arc would do for me. Go here. I can kind of work out the radius actually. Let's make it something simple. Maybe 6. Oops. Down there. 6. And then, well, you know what I'm going to do? 48. Yes. Make it a bit smoother. That is a loop. I should imagine you won't get this real sharp edge here, but we'll aim for it. I'm going to leave that line there for a little bit. I'm going to click on something over here. Click on make it a bit nicer. Okay, so what I did there is I double clicked, I selected it all, and I turned on these smooth edges so I don't see those lines there. Can maybe get rid of that line again, put it in again if I need it. So this one here, I'm going to go to rotate. Rotate it by not there anymore, is it? I've moved it. Have a look. Okay, so I hit there. Obviously, when you're doing your design, it's all about design. You're going to make your own changes to it. Now, over here, I'm just going to have a look at what Mr. Fisher's got. He's got I'm a little confused with the mechanism here. So we'll leave that for now. Okay. I'm going to leave that for the time being. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate all these pieces. So I've got everything selected. You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take all these. I'm going to copy them. And then I'm going to make part 2 for this video. So this will get you going. So control, duplicate it over here. Now, once again, I'm going to take that piece. I could probably right click and go hide. Okay. It's still there, but it's hidden. I want to take all these pieces. Have a look, they're all selected. I'm going to move them to there, that corner. Then I'm going to rotate them up. So go to that corner, along that edge, and there. So I've got them rotated into position. Aha! they'll cut into there. So, what I would suggest, quite, I don't think that's too much of a problem. So I'm thinking as I go together, it's always really good to model a project like this because then you kind of see things that you wouldn't have thought about before. So I can see where that part there is going to cut into this part here, and then I can start thinking about, well, if I did that, how would I fix it up? I'm thinking here you would be better, and I'm pretty sure most of you have glued it in, which will make your life. Okay, so I wouldn't have glued it in. I would have made it as a separate unit, then placed it in. Okay, we have glued it in. I'm pretty sure most of you glued it in as quick as possible. So your jobs will shift again. Unless you were to make this smaller, theoretically, now your heads are probably spinning now, but that's why I really try to get you to do this. So if you've got all those pieces cut and you're putting them in now, you would really end up with something like probably that type of situation, which means your holes won't line up. So I'm kind of a little bit confused. Okay. I tend to want to do it like this. So let's not move our holes to start with. Let's think about making this piece, perhaps putting that angle on there. So it would be a matter of, I don't think this will work because when I get to that curve, it's going to have a problem. Okay. But in the meantime, let's come over and look at this one. So see how the curve caused us an issue. So if we were to accurately sand or plane that face to an angle, we would get that. Now to do an angle on here, bring a line like that. Then I'd take a line straight down. And then I'd take a line, it's a little bit line there. So let's see if that worked. Delete this one. Maybe. I don't really. It's going to do my head in. We want it. We don't want to go line there. We want to go line here. And when you start working in curves, it's going to cause you a lot of stress. I'm going to get rid of all those lines. And I'm not going to stress about that too much. There is actually, you know what? We have the tools over here. I'm going to undo everything and bring that back to the way it was. Now, we need to delete these lines for that. So I'm going to make a duplicate over here. I forgot that this online version has recently, well, not recently, I don't use it that much, has recently added these, the solid modeling tools, which are really useful for what we're doing. So I'm going to delete that. And I always forget to use them because a few versions ago it didn't have them. Okay, those lines now deleted, which makes that a valid solid property. Okay, solid object. We can then come over to here and take this and trim it off here. Okay, let's see if it works. So I've got two parts picked. I picked this part, and let's see what the order is. Trim, subtract. Let's see. I'm going to take that. Now, they have to be components to do this, and they have to be components without any sort of errors or weird lines and stuff like that. I'll take this one, and go subtract. That joined them together. I don't like that. Let's have a look here. Trim. Aha. There was a trim button. So it was that one there. I use that all the time in the full version. And it looks like it's got it now. So what that has done, perhaps. Oh, it's probably made it a new object. Let's have a look. Yeah, okay. So it's made it its own object. So once I trimmed it, it became unique, which is not too bad. Possibly coming very handy for us because this is going to get deleted. That one's going to move over here. Ooh. Oh, it's on an angle because that's on an angle, which is even better for us because look at this. I'm going to take that and I can really visualize the parts I've got now. See that angle there? That's what we need to put on it. If you are going to fit it into that space there and you've already glued it in, you're going to have to take some material off that face to fit it in. Hopefully it's all pretty accurate. That there, I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. Remember I hid that side there. Now how I get it back is I click on hidden geometry. Ooh, hidden objects maybe. Right click on it and go unhide. Okay. And there's weird little face there that I didn't notice before. Let's get rid of that. I hate it. Okay. That's when I trim that bit off. Oh, got to go into edit mode. Take my pencil tool and cut that off and to make it nice and neat. I'm going to get rid of that line there. I can see I need to do some work on that there. Probably that gives us where the ball is going to go, and I think there's the ball goes through, it goes down here, and then there's a plunger that pops it out. I might even modify that now that I'm looking at it. Okay. I'm going to turn my perspective back on. I'm going to save it there. I've still got more to do. Okay. So that was a little complex, but it's a complex project. It's a project that's starting to have a lot of angles and a lot of uh, bevels and tapers and things like that. And there's modification that needs to be done. I'm modifying it in SketchUp or any CAD package. You can use Onshape if you want. However, if I was doing it in the workshop, I feel, I don't feel, I know that it would take me much longer and it'd be much harder to visualize things. I tend to probably do them, drill holes and stuff, and trial and error, which is going to take me a lot longer. So, look, I apologize if that was a little complex. Obviously, now, if I was to draw it again, this is the first time I've really drawn it and thought about it and looked at it. I've seen it in the workshop and I've seen the project, but to really understand what something is, um, I need to pull it apart, reverse engineer it, start putting it back together. underneath. Now these dowels are still very long. Okay, I want them like that because there's a piece on here, and there's a dowel that comes through here. So the dowel comes through here, pushes this, but I think that's what gives it the spring loaded. Okay. So a few things I did. I took the waste that I cut off the top here. I put it underneath. I did take a bit off the front, so that's theoretically not 35 anymore. That's why you've got that funny lip there. But I could bring that down. That'd be easy. Easy thing. I double click on that, take that edge. But if I bring that down, that means my angle here will be not parallel to there, and I don't know whether that's going to cause me problems. So I'm not going to worry about that to start with. I'm going to live with that. I quite like the idea that if this is, if you were trying to get that flush and aligned and it didn't work, it would look wrong. If you meant or made it so it was, say, here on that edge, it it would look better. I feel it would look better. It looked like it was meant to be. You could put a little chamfer or taper there, or round over fillet maybe. Um, that would look better in my eyes. So that's the type of thing we are getting from doing it this way. I perhaps would make a little jig, 3D printer. Here we go. Well, let's bring this one down. So that's going to be flush with there. Okay, so that dowel is stuck to there. Push it through here, and we'll work on the mechanism under there. I'm going to save this. I'm going to call it Pinball Project, and we've gone for almost an hour. I wouldn't try to do that in one go. I'm going to call it Pinball 2021. Okay, I'm going to put this on YouTube. See how far you get. Please don't get too disheartened. A lot of things I did there were sort of trial and error, and a little bit of knowledge that, like the solid modeling tools that I haven't taught you yet. I might redo the video and try to break it down in smaller steps. That was quite complex. If you can get there, you're doing very good. Okay. Have a go at it. Save whatever you come up with, and we'll keep going with some of our designs. So I'll come back tomorrow and I'll record probably a little bit more and see how we go. I'm going to post that on tonight.